Hi, this is Tim Webb from Discord.com. I'm going to show you how I did the super saw in the intro song. To start off with, I'm going to need an oscillator. And since I already know what all of these things are, I can hit the flashlight thing to collapse the list and make it much easier to navigate through. So I've got my oscillator. I need a keyboard to control it. And I'm going to use a slew as an envelope. And I'm going to use an oscilloscope just so you guys can see what I am doing. So I'm going to start off by taking the keyboard and taking the gate out into the slew. So I'm going to reduce the attack on this, and in this instance, the second knob is acting as a release. And I'm going to plug that into the output of my oscillator, and plug that into my oscilloscope, and then from the oscilloscope out to the master channel. So when I hit the keyboard, I get sound, but I'm not getting any note information. Same note every time. So I've got to take the CV from the keyboard and plug that into the CV of the oscillator. And we're making music already. I'm going to switch this into a square, and now I'm going to throw in a second oscillator. And this one is going to be using the XW, which is super saw mode. And as you hear there, that's why we had to use the slew and the keyboard there on the amp, or else that oscillator is just going to constantly pump out a signal. So now I've got the second oscillator set up, and now I can play it from here. And this is a detunable super saw by using the pulse width. It's 7 saws that I can detune there. So now I've got it in a position I like, but in order to play with both of these at once, I'm going to have to send my gate signal and my CV signal to both oscillators at the same time. So the way that I'm going to be doing that is by dragging from the out of the slew, and it's going to ask me if I want to split, and in fact I do. And it gives me a conveniently split signal. I can take the output of this now into the amp on both of these oscillators. For the CV, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I just drag out from it, drop anywhere that isn't an input or another module, and it gives me a nice split option, which I avail myself of, and now I can control both of these oscillators from the same keyboard. But we're still only hearing the second oscillator because I haven't done a way to combine these audio signals. And fortunately, there is a conveniently titled combiner that will do that for me. So I'm going to take the output from the second oscillator, the output from the first oscillator, and run that now out to my oscilloscope, which is going out to my master bus. So I'm getting everything, right? I've got the gates, I got the CV, and I can tweak this. If you double tap on any of the red knobs, you'll get a radial dial. It blooms up with all kinds of useful information. And in this case, I'm going to crank it up a couple of octaves. So now I've got my square wave at 1 octave and my super saw at 2 octaves above that. So they're sounding more distinct from each other. And I can get a little fancy and throw in some effects. I'll throw in a reverb and a filter. I'm going to throw the reverb after the oscilloscope. So I'm going to need to take the left and right signals now from this, since the reverb is in stereo. And I'm going to put the filter before the oscilloscope so that you can see it as it's filtering. And now from the oscilloscope out to the reverb, and I've completed my chain, and now I'll be able to get signal. I hope this has been helpful. Developer Sven Braun will now show you how he uses his app to send CV output to external gear.